Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Lyrically Speaking
Hello.
podcast, where we dissect the lyrics of songs that we thought we knew, then we realized we never really knew them at all. So today we have a song by Lauryn Hill, and this song was released in 1998, and it's the lead single from her album, The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill.
Wonderful album.
And it was, iconic. Really, really standout album.
Yeah.
And it debuted at number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100. And it was there for 2 weeks. So we did Mariah Carey's We Belong Together in our last episode. And that was at number 1 for 14 weeks. So hopefully that gives you a bit of an idea.
Into context.
I mean, 2 weeks is still really good.
It's still good.
And this song was a hit globally. It was number 1 in 15 countries, and she won a Grammy for it, but it helped her become the first woman to win 5 Grammys in one night because of this song was included in that. Beyonce and Adele have since broken it.
Okay.
I think Beyonce broke it in 2010 and Adele broke it in 2012.
Right.
However, at that time in 1991, she won
was
the most
Okay.
from 1999 to 2010.
Yeah, wow.
And most importantly, this song had a huge cultural impact. Even in the music video, it juxtaposed 1960s sort of feel and screen with a 1990s feel. And the idea was that was supposed to show how social issues don't change over time. They kind of remain the same. And her lyrics were quite bold.
Very bold.
The kind of things she spoke about
in
the song were not necessarily things that many people were speaking about.
No, not at that time.
Yeah, and even today, I think if she was to release this song today,
it's so true. It would be just as true.
People would come for her. They would drag her.
Yeah.
She would be dragged. But at that time, people were willing to listen to the song.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember when the album came out, I absolutely loved it. I was like, who is this person? And you felt the same. So Lauryn Hill, she recently actually did a tribute to Roberta Flack as well at her memorial service.
I was going to say funeral, but memorial.
Yeah. And as we know, or some of us may know, one of the Fugees' biggest songs, and Lauryn Hill was in the Fugees, Killing Me Softly. It sampled Roberta Flack's original song, Killing Me Softly. And Roberta Flack passed away last month. And Lauryn Hill's performance was, I don't know if you've watched it.
No, I haven't watched it.
It was so good.
Wow, no, I've not watched it. I've not watched it.
Yeah, so they did that in honor of Roberta. But okay, that's a little bit about the song that we're covering today, which is Doo Wop. And I'm going to go through the lyrics. There's quite a lot of lyrics, similar to the Twister episode we did. She was able to pack quite a bit
into it.
And I have to cover both verses because the first verse is speaking to women.
Yes.
And just to be fair, the second verse is speaking to men. So we've got quite a few lyrics to get through, but we'll get there.
We'll get there.
So she starts off with, "It's been 3 weeks since you were looking for your friend. The one you let hit it and never called you again. Remember when he told you he was about the Benjamins, which is money?
Yeah, the money.
You act like you ain't hear him. Then give him a little trim. To begin, how you think you're really gonna pretend like you wasn't down and you called him again. Plus, when you give it up so easy, you ain't even fooling him. If you did it then you'd probably do it again."
Very unpopular for this current climate when we're all about empowerment, which I can never understand why certain things are called empowerment. But anyway.
Then she comes for any religious hypocrites. And she says, "Talking out your neck, saying you're a Christian, a Muslim sleeping with the jinn." And jinn in Islam is like a supernatural being associated with like mischief and like bad things. Yeah. So she's saying you're sleeping with the supernatural being that's associated with bad things and things that aren't approved of.
I just thought it was gin, as in liquor. Because Muslims are not allowed to drink. I didn't actually know that.
No. Yeah, it's a supernatural being associated with like temptation.
Yes, interesting.
Trying to trick you and mischief and things like that. So then she says, "Now that was the sin that did Jezebel in. Who you gonna tell when the repercussions spin? showing off your ass because you're thinking it's a trend.
Girlfriend. This is what I'm trying to say. She was calling out a lot of things that now you can't, because now it's popular. You only have to look at certain artists, and I won't mention all the names, but like, it all really started with your Nicki Minaj's, your Cardi B's, Megan Thee Stallion, all of this wave of people who are empowering to females, and I don't understand it. I've just always seen myself as maybe too old-fashioned to just really get what's going on with it. And obviously it did start with the Nicki Minaj's and Cardi B's, and funny enough, they're like older millennials, but it kind of started with them, but it was like still, it was an extreme.
At a certain level, yeah.
It was an extreme. They were an extreme. But now it's very mainstream that we show our skin. It's standard that we, show our skin, we sleep with who we want, we do what we want, and we're empowered. And I just don't understand it.
Well, we're going to come to that. And so, yeah, she says, let me break it down for you again. You know, I only say it because I'm truly genuine. Don't be a hard rock when you really are a gem. Baby girl, respect is just a minimum.
These lyrics.
Something. And you still defending him? Now, Lauren is only human. Don't think I haven't been through the same predicament. Let it sit inside your head like a million women in Philly pen. It's silly when girls sell their souls because it's in. Look at where you be in. Hair weaves like Europeans, fake nails done by Koreans. So the key message coming through to the women from Lauren is betraying yourself, selling yourself for fleeting admiration and affirmation, basically.
100%.
So then the chorus is, guys, you better watch out. Some girls are only about that thing. Now she goes to the men and she says, the second verse is dedicated to the men. Like, literally, she makes it very explicit and plain. More concerned with his rims and his Timbs and his women. Him and his men come in the club like hooligans. Don't care who they offend. Poppin' yang, and poppin' yang means talking trash, basically.
Talking smack.
Yeah, just talking silly things. Let's stop pretending, basically.
Yeah.
The ones that pack pistols by they waist men. The Cristal by the case men. And Cristal is champagne.
Yeah.
So she's talking about men who are in the clubs like buying champagne by the case, showing off. Yes. But still in their mother's basement. So she's saying all these people come into the club showing off, but they live in their mother's basement. The pretty face men claiming that they did a bid men. So to do a bid is to spend time in jail.
Yeah.
So she's talking about men who are showing off, saying, oh, I did time.
I'm hard.
But they need to take care of their 3 or 4 kids.
Mm-hmm.
This is actually the next line. And they face a court case when the child support
late.
Money taking and heartbreaking. Now you wonder why women hate men. The sneaky, silent men, the punk, domestic violence men. Quick to shoot the C-men. Stop acting like boys and be men. And then this is the outro, which sort of encompasses a lot of the song.
Yeah.
And it's how you gonna win when you ain't right within. How you gonna win when you ain't right within.
Boy, there's a lot there.
She packed a lot. Very small, quite a small space.
And she did not pull her punch. I'm telling you, she would get cancelled if this song came out. Now she would be absolutely cancelled. That people would be like, I have a right to make loads of children and not pay child support. I have a right to live in my mum's basement but spend loads of money on champagne. I have every right, and you can't stop me. And there'd be communities around said people also. That's the thing about nowadays, but I digress.
Yeah, it's absolutely true. And I think it opens up an interesting theme and topic around rights and people's rights. And can our rights actually start to become imprisonment?
Yes.
And make us not make the best decisions for ourselves and other people. That's all what it makes me think of. But Lauren, she was really young when she released this. She was only 23.
She was young.
And like I said, she's essentially calling out women for trading their self-respect for validation.
Yeah.
So they're giving away their self-respect and receiving validation from men who aren't even valuing them.
Yeah, you don't even care about them.
Not even that serious. And then she's calling out men for being shallow and irresponsible and all about external validation as well, actually. And she talks a lot about their materialism and their superficiality. How much do you think these issues have changed since 1999? Is this song still relevant or is it outdated?
I think this song is 100% relevant. I think it is 100% relevant. I don't think these issues have changed at all. I think the challenge we have now is that you can't call it out now. Example, you want to talk about, quick acting like boys, quick to shoot the semen, you've got 3 or 4 kids. We've got superstars out here that revel in having loads of babies. They just go out making children. And then they're showing all of their baby mamas or all these women they've been with. And it's like, wow, you got game. You look at the comments, people are like, wow, I didn't even know that your portfolio was like that. You got game. That's the culture we live in. And I'm using Nick Cannon, number one example. Dated all these beautiful, successful women and dated all these women, made all these babies. How many children has Nick Cannon got? 9 children? 10 children? Probably more that we don't. Yeah, it could be up to 12.
But do you know who else has? Do you know who else has just as many children that we don't talk about often?
Who?
By different with Elon Musk,
and he names them X, Y, Z, Z dot Q.
Yeah,
their names are numerals. Yes. I actually did read that, but he's got a lot of kids. Naming them numerals.
And he's not married, I think.
Yeah.
Basically, it's the same as...
It's the same thing. Oh, my days. You know what?
A bunch of different women.
You know what?
So I'm just saying that because we also need to...
not just focus on the black men.
Be inclusive and include everyone.
Yeah, let's not. It's true. I did read that about Elon Musk, but I suppose that the thing about Elon Musk, though, is that he doesn't necessarily go around talking about the fact that he's got 14 kids. He doesn't go, I've got 14 kids, and there's probably a silent doctrine and a weird belief with him why he has so many children, and because he names them all these funny names. So I feel there's some weird belief system he has. But he doesn't go around saying, I've got all these children, look at me. But I feel like Nick Cannon is someone, and there are probably others who fall into the camp, but he's very boastful about just having all these baby mamas all over the place. And the challenge I have is that in this culture that we're in, he is applauded for having all these babies. Elon Musk is applauded for Tesla and all those things. We don't look at him and go, oh, he's got 14 kids.
Yes,
but Nick Cannon is literally applauded for having beautiful baby mamas and making loads of children, which I just think is shocking. So to your question, are these songs...
I don't think people applaud him, though. Maybe some people do for some reason, but
you know what? No one condemns him, though, do they? No one really says, how is this healthy? Oh, do they? I mean, I don't hear people doing it. I don't hear people saying things about Nick Cannon. I see Nick Cannon as someone that's very successful, and people talk about how wonderful he is and what great things he does for the community.
His credibility and his brand a lot. I think there are definitely people out there that support it or at least defend him, but for the most part I think it's definitely affected his credibility.
But to your question about are these issues still relevant today, or would this song still make sense today? Very much so, but I think it would be met with a different response. It wouldn't be met with a response of, wow, this is deep, we should all consider our activity. It would just be met with, how dare you? Because we're in a different culture now where everyone does what they want. Everyone has a right to live how they want. And if people don't like it, they need to get out the way. And when we don't understand what it is, we just give a name to it and tell everyone that you need to get on board because this is just a certain lifestyle that you just don't understand,
Well, Lauryn, she was very intentional with her music. She wanted to make people think.
Yeah.
I was watching an interview of hers and she was saying something along the lines of she doesn't want to be condescending to the audience and say, oh, they'll like any rubbish, that she wants to be moved. And that is how she knows it's good enough for the audience, that she is moved. So I think she was intentionally writing something that would make people sit up and listen and question and maybe make them think and reflect more deeply. There's 2 things I wanted to mention is I don't think we've got a lot of that type of music in the mainstream now, that makes people think more deeply.
No, not at all.
It's rejected, it seems.
Yeah, I think it is very much rejected. I mean, there is nobody who makes that type of music that I can think of.
Not in the mainstream.
Not in the mainstream. I mean, there was, if I'm thinking about the Grammys, there was that lady, and I can't remember her name, but she gave a speech about Or am I thinking of the Oscars, maybe? No, I think it's the Grammys. She gave a speech about how we should be supporting struggling musicians. And to be fair, it was met with mixed response. But she did give that speech, and she was quite true to the line that we're out here making all this money for record producers and no one's paying us. You need to pay people. And it was very controversial. So you get the outliers, you get the one or two.
But can I just say something about how I feel about that? I find that when they do speak out, it's often about their own plight.
Yeah, true.
And what most normal people will hear is, we're rich, we want you to get behind us to help us be richer.
Yeah.
Because that's what that complaint sounds like, isn't it? We've already got lots of money. It's not enough, though. Come and help us get more. And it is very self-centered. It's about their own
challenges that they've had and their own desire.
Even all the stuff Kanye complains about, for example, not to go down that road, but it's all about his issues.
His issues.
And us helping him become a billionaire and become richer and gain more. So sometimes when they do speak out these days, it's often
still self-centered.
Them.
Yeah. But no one's talking about the other things about communities and culture. Nobody is speaking out about men not raising their children. Nobody is talking out about women selling their bodies for, small affirmation or for record producers or whatever. Nobody's talking about that because all those things are the things that sell. It sells. We like to keep that going because this is what helps us sell records and sell music. So it's very against the things that are actually making money in like mainstream, So yeah, to your point, you can't talk against it because then you're coming against the very thing that's making the record producers money. If you want to talk about body standards and all these things, people are just going to say, I'll sit down because I like the record and I like how Beyonce looks and I like how Taylor Swift looks and so you're just coming against the industry, really, if you want to start talking about these things. And I guess at this time, there was just more room for individuality. I think people were more free thinking. I think now we don't have critical thinking. There's no freedom of thought. Everyone is just pushed into a machine way of thinking. And I feel like people think they're woke, but they're not. They're just conditioned. Everyone's just being conditioned to like certain things, buy certain things. We're all conditioned, or you're out of it. But if you're out of it, you're not going to be popular, and you just have to accept that.
It's interesting you talk about individuality because that was something that Lauryn Hill spoke a lot about, that it was very important to her to be individual and independent. Interestingly, though, some people may call her a hypocrite.
A hypocrite.
Because she herself had, I think, 6 children out of wedlock. And with people who were married.
Yeah.
So I believe she had an affair with Wyclef Jean and he was married. And
did she have a child though?
She got pregnant, but I think he
made her get rid of it, I think was the story. They had a very volatile relationship.
So when she got pregnant with Rohan Marley, I believe his name is, with Zion.
Yes.
She wanted to keep it and she was
I didn't even know that he was married. I didn't know he was married.
He has got married not that long ago and still has not married Lauryn, who has 6 of his children.
Boy.
Yeah. He's been married twice, one of which was recent, to a Victoria's Secret model.
Wow.
So did she herself potentially trade? I don't want to say trade, but maybe not make the best decision either. Because is it that women are trading their self-worth and value for fleeting validation from men? Or is it that they're just not making good decisions?
I think that hers is probably not making good decisions. And you have to bear in mind that when she had her first, or not it was her first relationship, but her relationship with Wyclef, she was very young. And he was quite a bit older than her.
Yes. Yeah.
So those things are formative. So I kind of almost feel for her because she was thrust into the limelight at quite a young age. She was like 18. Yeah. Wyclef was like her...
He's 6 years older than her.
6 years older. They were working together. There was like a power thing there. They're in this relationship. He won't commit to her. So you can imagine the damage that does. And so then the next relationship she goes into, I mean, it might be incrementally better, but is she going to get it all the way right? Probably not. So I can have some empathy for how she found herself in those situations. To be fair on her, she didn't run around making loads of babies with loads of men. She clearly was in love and it just didn't, work out how she would have loved for it to work out. That's how I read that. Clearly, that was a complicated situation and it never went in her favor. You know, she was always just the second side chick, as they say, you know, and it just didn't go in her favor. So yeah, I can empathize with that based on how she came up and what we know to be true about, you know, child stars, people who start out young, stuff like that. And I even watched an interview where she did talk about when she got very popular and she became very famous, how it really rocked her and how she didn't know what to do for herself and how they really commoditized her. She felt like she as a human had become commoditized. Her hair, the way she dressed, what she looked like. So imagine you've crafted this image and now it's commoditized, but you pride yourself on being an individual and you're young. That would rock anyone, I think. It's very bizarre. It's strange. So
yeah, I mean, you said something earlier, which was you think that the reason we don't hear challenging music like this or thought-provoking music like this anymore in the mainstream is because it won't sell. Do you think it's because it won't sell or because it's been imposed on us?
I think it's being let me say it won't. It's not that it won't sell. I think it's being imposed on us. I actually think it could sell. It could sell. Those the powers that be shut that stuff down, don't they? They're a machine. They have what they want to put out there, and that's why we've got to be so careful about what we buy and what we follow. They know what they want to put out there. They know what they want, what they want to be popular, and anything outside of that, you're going to get shut down. You will get shut down. So if you want to make your music the way you want, you need to just be independent and know that you are coming up against the Beyoncés, the Taylor Swifts, the whomever else is popular, Sabrina Carpenter, the Doa Cheese, Dua Lipa, whoever is popular, you're coming against those people. And if you're saying anything that's coming against that, you'll just be shut down, sidelined. They'll make it so that you fade into obscurity. And we've seen that with so many artists who have tried to be individuals and stand out. But if you do, have enough talent, I think as an individual, you can say something and you will get a community behind you. You're just never going to be like the big mainstream stars, and you just have to be content with that.
I think it also says we've got to go hunting.
Yes.
For that type
as
of
consumers.
Music. Yes, and we need to support it as well, whether
100%, 100%.
Streaming the music. Otherwise, we will get flooded with the music that isn't really challenging us. And if music is a form of art, it is meant to get us to think and to question and to critically analyze things, just as much as it should make us, have fun and enjoy things.
Yep.
Okay, so we've touched upon potentially Lauryn being seen as a hypocrite. We've touched upon the fact that we don't really hear music like this today because regardless of whether or not people will say she's a hypocrite, she's raising good points.
Really good points.
She's raising valuable points. So with that in mind, my next question is, Lauryn is roasting men for lying about prison time to seem authentic. And my question is, why do you think that street credibility has become tied to criminality in not only hip hop culture, but also generally? It's like if you have done time or if you have done something street related, then you're more credible, you're more respectable. And this can sometimes drive what she's talking about in this song. Why do you think this happens, or do you think that things have shifted now socially? Do you think it's changed from the song?
No, I don't think it's changed much. I think we do still see that in, I would say, urban culture, but a lot in Black culture. People want to act like they're from the streets and they came up tough. And I think the reality is, look, the challenge is, as a society, we don't like people who are well off and have just done well. If someone says, my dad worked for, I don't know, Microsoft for 10 years and he was a billionaire who had loads of stocks and shares, and now I'm coming to tell you like I'm hood and I'm gully, no one's going to accept that. We're going to be like, no, go back to your ivory tower with your silver spoon in your mouth. We don't really want to hear that. But that's some people's real story. That is some people's real story, that their parents were just really well off and did really well and they never really struggled. That's a real story. But we, as humans, we like the underdog and we like a rags to riches story. We do. We just love it. As Black people, we know that if you came from a good background, you went to Oxford, all this stuff, people will like you. People say you're smart and you're good. If you say, I came up from the mean streets of where I grew up, Peckham, and it was really tough and life was hard for me, people are going to be more interested in you. People are going to be like, oh, wow, didn't she do good? Oh, she did good, rags to riches. She really came up well. And that's just how people are. That's just, and I can't speak to what it is about it, why we like that rags to riches story, but we do. So then when you say, why is it that people who act like, having been to prison or being from the streets, why do people see that as more authentic? I don't necessarily think we see it as or credible. I just think people like an underdog, and they feel like if you've had to graft and do things the hard way, then you've got more character. That's what people equate. They equate grafting and coming up hard, which, to be fair, is true. And so I think if you want to connect with people, the easiest way to connect to people is to tell your story. And the harder your story, the better. That's why if you watch X Factor, some of these folk out here, their story could be very minimal, but they'll cry and they'll do the most. And we know that the one that has the best sob story is the one that's going to go through, because we just connect to that type of stories. So I think
there's a difference between people liking a rags to riches story and people glorifying the criminality behind the rags.
Okay, I see what you're saying. So people who are glorifying that, they did time for murder, things or whatever, things of that nature. Yeah, I'm not sure if that's still the same, though. I'm not sure if that's still
not
the same.
No, it's different. That's what I'm saying.
No. But what I mean is, I don't think that people glory in those things anymore. I think people will glory in going to prison, but they're not going to say what they really did, because I think, again, we've now got a woke culture where people are not accepting of certain types of things. I don't think people are celebrating criminal behaviors in the way that it was before. I think people will say, I went to prison, it was tough, but we're not celebrating what you did to get there. Like, I don't really see that anymore. I think nowadays, if you are dangerous, that's not a good thing. So it's like, boost the prison story, hide what you were convicted for. See, so most times you don't even know why they went to prison. You don't know the full story. Like, boost it was hard for you, hide the terrible things you did. Because I think there's two things going on. We love the rags to riches, but nowadays we don't like the mindset behind the criminality. I think we don't like that anymore, not like we used to.
Okay, and we spoke about the fact that today Lauryn would get dragged, right? And it would be seen as judgmental.
Yeah.
So where's the line between being judgmental and giving honest critique in life generally?
Boy, that's a tough one, because, like I say, I think nowadays it's an anything goes type of culture, not criminality, because we all fight for the little person. So we don't want people who are creating victims. We don't like that. But we also want people to be free. And there's this, freedom and liberation, and you should be able to be who you want to be. So now, where is the line between, giving people advice and saying what's true and judgment? It's a very thin line. And actually, I don't even know nowadays if you can tell people the truth and them not say you're judging them. Everything's judgment now, isn't it? Even me and you doing this poddy, we're talking about the lyrics and people say that's judgment. Oh, they were on there judging Lauryn Hill, judging the industry. Everything is seen as judgmental. We're not supposed to have judgments now. We're not. We're all supposed to just go with the flow. We all like the same things and we go with the flow. We're not supposed to have judgments. People are not resilient to anything that is contrary to what they want to do now. So I think everything's judgment. I think there's a very thin line, but I just don't think anything is not called judgment anymore. That's my view.
And the funny thing is that judgments are designed to protect us.
Exactly.
Because when we judge a situation, we assess it. We know, okay, either we don't want to do that, or we know, oh gosh, there's danger there, or that's not helpful.
Yeah.
That's not good. That could lead to trouble. So it is good to judge, i.e. weigh up and assess something for its goodness or
merits
helpfulness or merits. It's good to do that, but that's almost being seen as bad.
It's
and
bad.
being stripped away. And I think that we need to develop more of an ability to see something for what it is and take the truth from it, even if it stings, even if it hurts, even if it is holding up a mirror to us and it makes us feel uncomfortable. It's so important that we're able to do that so that we can also, you often talk about the next generation, but so that we can have something to give the next generation. If we don't have any judgments, we don't have any lessons, we don't have any opinions, it's just anything goes, and the only value is freedom and do whatever you want when you like, then we start to strip away at society progressing.
Yes, but that's
society
what I
starts to regress.
I believe that's what we've done. I think society is regressing because nobody is allowed to hold up a standard. We used to have a standard where there was certain things we just didn't do. There was some behaviors, basic things like respect for elders. We did not mistreat the elderly. When we saw an older person, we said good morning, we said good evening, we said hi, we even said, things like saying hi to each other. These were values you had, right? You said thanks to the bus driver, there were these values, and that was normal. But now all of that is stripped away, and we can't bring that standard back, because if we try to bring it back, to your point, now we're judging, we're not allowing people their civil liberties and their civil freedoms. And I honestly think it's descended into a bit of chaos. At some point, it's going to get too far and we're going to have to bring back a load of standards, and it's not going to be nice. But sometimes that's just the way society goes. I guess it has to go in those cycles in order for us to find some equilibrium, I guess. But it's a really tough one. It's a really tough one. I mean, I personally don't like to be the one to say to any young girl or guy, yo, you're moving a bit. I don't want to be the one to say that, because the backlash is a lot. It's intense. Who's got the energy? Teachers go through this all the time. Our teaching system, our teachers are so devalued, and they have to do so much, and they don't even have the right to try to provide any sort of moral compass anymore. There's no right.
I think essentially honesty has been stripped from love. We
100%,
no longer see honesty 100%, as loving. And I personally really, that's how I know someone genuinely loves me, is when they're honest.
When they're honest, exactly.
But now it's seen as someone's trying to hurt you. Obviously the way we say it is so important. It's so critical that we don't say it in a condemning, mean way, or that we have our own agenda with that honesty. But then is that really honesty? It's not, is it?
It's not.
So, very interesting. Lauren, thank you for this song. So many very good key topics have emerged from it. Some that we've not even going to have time to
touched
explore.
on,
There's just so much. But what are some of your key takeaways?
You've got me really reflecting, and I want to do some more reflection on this, on just about honesty in our society. And whether the strength, to the courage to actually just speak the truth in love and not hold back. I think you can become afraid to speak the truth, but then where are our principles if we're not really willing to stand up for the truth and what we think is right? So it's got me reflecting on that. I think we need more honesty in society. And I'm even looking at myself going, are there places where I've pulled my punch, where I probably could have actually spoken up? So that's one takeaway I take from this conversation.
Oh, fantastic. For me, it really is just about bringing more music that is making us think, that is challenging us, and that it's a good thing, because it helps us progress as society so that the next generation can be better than us. If we stop challenging, stop questioning, stop critiquing, and stop being honest, we cease to progress and advance socially. Thank you. Thanks everyone for listening. It's been great to have you with us. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time. Bye, folks.
Bye.